Welcome to the Chamber's Candidate Interview Series. I'm Christy Moore, and I serve as the president of the Dawson County Chamber of Commerce. On June 9th, the primary election will be held in Georgia, and early voting begins May 18th. In Dawson County, there are many local elections on the ballot. You may always view your sample ballot and polling location by visiting mvp.sos.ga.gov. One of the main areas of focus of our Chamber strategic plan is advocacy. While we would typically host a forum for all candidates, due to the current pandemic and out of an abundance of caution that prioritizes the health and safety of the candidates and our staff, we are hosting in-depth candidate interviews instead. All candidates who are running for an office for which more than one candidate is running were invited to be interviewed. As a nonpartisan organization, we take seriously our role to promote issues of benefit to our businesses and community, as well as support the promotion of information about upcoming elections. The Chamber does not endorse a particular party nor particular candidates. We have worked diligently to ensure that these candidate interviews are fair to the participants and informative to our members and audience. Candidates were not given the questions prior to being interviewed. Questions were submitted by Chamber members and were predetermined by the Chamber's Advocacy Committee. Similar to a forum, each candidate will be given 3 minutes to give an opening statement, and will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Today, I am joined by Jeff Johnson, who is seeking re-election to the position of Dawson County Sheriff. Sheriff Johnson, would you like to kick us off with your opening statement?
Well, thank you, Christy, and thank you, Chamber, for having this and for hosting this for us. Never want to miss an opportunity to say thank you to Dawson County for allowing me to serve as your sheriff. It's truly an honor and a privilege, and for one that I am very thankful. Look forward to it. Obviously, 4 years has passed rather quickly, but we look forward to hopefully being reelected to continue to serve our county. I've lived in Dawson County for 36 plus years. This is home. This is where I met my wife. This is where we raised our children, and this is where we continue to be very much invested in our community. As the current sitting sheriff, I have a great desire and a great passion to see that our county continues to go in the right direction from a law enforcement perspective. We know that our county's changing a lot. We know that it's growing. We know that with growth comes crime, unfortunately. Anytime we see an increase in people and housing, obviously criminal opportunity increases as well. So as your sheriff, there's been a lot of challenges. There's been a lot of good times, but we feel like we're heading in the right direction. We are very proud of the men and women that serve in our agency. We're proud of the accomplishments that we've been able to achieve, and I say us collectively. I'm a very big advocate of this is a collective partnership between our community, between us and our community. We know that we're still a relatively small agency compared to many of them, but we know that we have to work together. We know that our community partnership, we have to look out for each other. And that's where I think that we have found and located a lot of our success on, is that our community calls us. And we stress that from day one. They're not hesitant to let us know if something's not right. They're quick to call us, and that's what we want. We want our community looking out. We want them being aware, being vigilant, and passing that information on to us so that we can act upon it. And I think that we've enjoyed a lot of success in that. But certainly, again, I thank our community for allowing me to serve as your sheriff, and we hope and pray that we look for 4 more years.
Absolutely. Well, to follow up on that, why do you want to be reelected to the office of sheriff?
Ms. Christie, we spent 27 years in our law enforcement career. We originally began in the Hall County Sheriff's Office in the early 90s. From most aspects of the Sheriff's Office, we've worked jail, we've worked patrol, we've worked investigations. This has been, with the exception of getting out of school and being in the construction field shortly, this has been my career. This has been my professional life, is serving our community through law enforcement. Again, this is our home. This is This is where we're serving. This is where we feel like that we're led to. We know that we've been able to enjoy a lot of accomplishments this first term, but we know there's a lot to be done. And we know that as our community continues to grow, it changes. Our needs change. A prime example of that is our community grows, traffic grows. We have traffic concerns. I filled a lot of phone calls. I spoke with a lady just yesterday in an area. These are very valid. These are legitimate concerns. And so as we approach this next term, as we approach this year, and I hate to say next term because we're already moving forward with some different approaches to address these concerns. But traffic is an issue for us, and traffic is an issue for a lot of our neighborhoods. So that will be a lot of the primary focus of next term as well, is addressing these needs. We have placed a big emphasis on keeping our community safe. Feel a lot of calls from folks saying, I'm seeing deputies more and more in our neighborhoods, and I appreciate that. And that's where we want to go, and that's what we hope to accomplish this next term.
Absolutely. Well, due to the current pandemic, we anticipate that Dawson County may have a flat or lower budget for the next fiscal year than the current budget. How do you plan to use the current resources to meet the needs of law enforcement?
Well, I'll tell you, and that's a good question. Obviously, it is affecting everything. We are thankful that things are seeming to open back up in a safe manner. We've been fortunate the past 3 years. We truly have. We have gotten, we've been able to purchase a lot of things, a lot of equipment, a lot of tools, a lot of things that we need. And one thing, as we originally went into our office, we were bound and determined to do certain things. One of those was, for example, was to get quality items. We want items that we know that's going to last. For example, now we have standardized weapons for our officers. We have weapons that we know they're going to last for years. From our fleet, for example, as we were considering a fleet, we're looking at vehicles that are going to last us for years. A lot of the issues that we have. And again, we look at service to our community first and foremost. I think that needs to be our priority. Not necessarily are we saving a dollar here, but what level of service are we giving to our community? So we've been very fortunate in these last 3 years that have been very good to us, to where we have vehicles on fleet now. We've got the best fleet that we've ever had. Should the economy turn bad on us, should it go south, Dawson County can rest assured, and our people can rest assured, that we still have a good fleet of service for our officers to patrol in. We still have good equipment. We've been able to add a lot of new technology, things that are paid for, things that we will not have to buy the next term. So we're excited about that with the investments that we've made.
Absolutely. And well, to follow up on that, what would your financial priorities be if reelected?
It's always got to be our people, Ms. Christie, and I've said this many, many times. We have been blessed. Dawson County has been blessed. We have a nice jail. We have a nice sheriff's office. We have a nice courthouse. We have facilities that are honestly second to none. We have facilities that we're proud of. One thing that we try to do is honestly maintain that in an immaculate order as we can, because we know that we're passing through. We're simply occupying a position for a time, but we know that there will be those that come behind us, and we definitely want to leave it in better shape than we have before. So I think getting back, we just have to make sure that we're putting the right focus in the right places, that our people, to me, that'll always be our priority, because we can have the nicest place, we can have the nicest equipment, but if we do not have the quality men and women here serving in our office, we've missed the mark. And it comes out in experience. And for example, I was talking to a gentleman today that does landscaping, and we were talking about watering a plant of all things. And he said, Jeff, he said, if your flowers start to wilter or the leaves start to wilter, he said, you've overwatered it. And I said, well, I appreciate you sharing that to me. I said, because I wouldn't know that, but that's not my history. That's not my background. He knows that from 20 plus years experience. And I know personally from 27 years experience in law enforcement, we have to maintain, we have to retain, we have to recruit for the level of service to our county. And I think that's what's so critical. Our people have to be our top priority always.
Absolutely. And we will definitely ask a follow-up question about that a little later. But in your opinion, are there functions that are currently performed by the Sheriff's Office that you believe could be accomplished in partnership with the county or city, or even outsourced, in order to prevent a duplication of services?
I think that's a great misconception that's being put out there now. And the reason I simply say that, we have a sheriff's office of approximately 120 employees. And that's just an approximate number. But there's a lot of things, for example, that go into, and I'll give you a prime example of an employee background. There's a lot of things that we do in the sheriff's office. When we receive an application, when we bring them in for certain testing, when we do psychological examinations, when we do verification examinations, there are a lot of things that some people will portray that, well, it's simply let the county do that. They have an HR component. Let them do that. And unfortunately, it's just not that simple, Miss Christie. There's a lot of things involved in this. Now, one thing that we have done over the years, we haven't increased, since my term, we haven't increased those administrative positions. We have reduced those positions. And what I mean by that is we've taken those and we've reassigned those to uniform roles. So in essence, during our first term, we have reduced our administrative roles. But I think the great misconception that's being spun is just that, is that we're duplicating services, when that's just not the case. On the outside looking in, it's one argument to be made, but the reality is there's a lot that goes into bringing in a man or woman into law enforcement. There's a lot of legwork that just does not apply to the other county departments.
Dawson County has become a retail hub for our region, with thousands of non-residents passing through and shopping in our county every day. What steps have you and do you intend to take in order to protect existing and developing businesses?
I think that it has to be a level of service to all. In our retail community, obviously it's a different approach from for instance, a drug investigation. We have to focus certain resources on our retail. So one, we need to look at obviously the protection of our consumers. We have to make sure that when men and women come to Dawson County, whether it's our residents or whether it's our visitors, that they feel safe, that they're secure, that they're not taking a chance to come up here and get their vehicles broken into or their packages stolen or whatever the case may be. We have to provide that level of service to them. And that's one of the challenges that we face, is simply that we know that we're on limited staff. And I'm proud of our men and women. I'm proud of the job that they do, but they work hard, and we know that as our community grows in a retail fashion, that's more businesses to look out for. I think one thing that a lot of people are looking at is for example, crimes of shoplifting, things of that nature. We have to find better ways in working with our courts to address these things, because a simple shoplifting arrest may take an officer out of the field for an hour and a half. It all depends on what type of evidence needs collected, transporting them to the jail, completing the paperwork, and so forth. So there's a lot of issues there. I think from the commercial stores to the mom and pops, we have to provide the same level of service to all. That means high visibility. That means interaction. That means making sure that we have that communication, making sure that we have that level of interaction where they know who we are. I'm a big proponent of community policing, and one thing that I would like to see is getting a community policing component to address specifically our retail areas as well.
Thank you. Well, I know you've spoken a little bit to this already, but what do you view as the strengths of the Dawson County Sheriff's Office, and what areas still need a little improvement, and how do you plan to address those areas?
Men and women are obviously our strengths. Again, we have been very fortunate right now when a lot of agencies are competing for employees, they're competing with pay, very aggressive pay. They're competing with very aggressive benefit packages. We are very blessed in Dawson County right now to be able to say that we are in our certified positions, we're fully staffed. We have people that are looking to come to Dawson County. Our retention rate from our certified positions are the best that we've enjoyed in a long time. And serving here in Dawson County for many years, I can tell you that it's is the sheriff, it makes me proud. So we know that we've got to continue to focus on those things. We know that we've got to continue to look at ways to better recruit, to more aggressively recruit for our jail, to make career paths. So some of the challenges that we have right now is we're enjoying some of the best retention, but we also know that training is a key. And we have been blessed. We're proud to say that Dawson County Sheriff's Office, the county in general, owns a judgmental use of force simulator. There's not many agencies that can boast of that, but it's so critical not to hang our hat to say that we have this great piece of technology, training technology, but the fact is that I hope and pray that it translates to keeping our community safe, to potentially protecting lives. And if we can save the lives of our deputies, if we can save the lives of our community by better training those, we need to. So training is a key. Training is one thing that we will continue to focus on, that we will continue to direct our resources to.
Absolutely. Well, how have you and how do you envision the Sheriff's Office partnering with our largest employer in Dawson County, the school system, so as to help ensure the safety of Dawson County students and, of course, teachers and staff?
Yeah, well, great question, Ms. Christie. I tell you, and I've got to give a shout out to our school resource officers, the relationship that they enjoy with our students, with our families, with the moms and dads and parents and caregivers, as well as our teachers and school administrators, is just phenomenal. If there's anything that's been more apparent of that is this COVID virus, where they've been separated. There's a genuine care and a genuine concern and love between our school resource officers and our law enforcement officers and our students, and that's just it's critical. During our term, we have been blessed to be able to have a school resource officer assigned to every public school, and that's of comfort to us. We have taken steps, and I appreciate Dr. Gibbs and his efforts in the school board. We have school detail or traffic functions, and it used to be, Ms. Christie, that when I first took office, that we would pull our school resource officers out of the schools to direct traffic. And we know that during that time is one of the most vulnerable times. There's a lot of foot traffic in and out of schools. There's a lot of things happening. So we've been able to work together collectively with our school board, with our school superintendent, to make sure that we're providing better protection to our students. And it's a win. We appreciate our administrators. We appreciate our teachers. I appreciate the sacrifices that they make daily. And we enjoy an exceptional relationship with our schools, with our principals. It's just amazing to see the interactions, to have the dialogue, and we're very fortunate.
Absolutely. Well, how do you plan to maintain visibility and accessibility of the Sheriff's Office and deputies in our community?
I think we're already doing that. We're enjoying, again, as I alluded to earlier, or may have stated, I receive calls all the time, and just to say thank you, Sheriff. I'm seeing patrol cars in my neighborhood that I haven't for years. Talked with a gentleman just last night. We were meeting in his home. We were talking, obviously maintaining the 6-foot distance. But we were talking, and he just said, I'm seeing more patrol cars in my neighborhood. I'm seeing them right through. Again, Ms. Christie, I've never been law enforcement should not be heavy-handed. Law enforcement should not be, let's get out there and write tickets. That's not what I'm about. That's not what sheriff's office is about. It's about a service. We live here. Law enforcement is a service. I understand that there's duties and responsibilities that are sometimes unpleasant, but for the majority of the people, the law-abiding citizens, they want their sheriff's office to be of service to them. They want them looking out for their property. They want them looking at keeping the roadways clean and safe. They want drugs out of our community. So I think it's very important that we've maintained a focus of being available to our community, keeping our officers in our community. I appreciate the GSP, and I've got to say that they're great. They come in and help us a lot, but it also helps us to get back in our communities too. And that's so critical when we're running on, again, we do not have the greatest numbers of law enforcement officers, in our area, but we do continue to grow. Personally, I've always been available to our community. I'll answer my phone. If I don't, I'll call you back. I've sat around people's dinner table with them. They've come to the office. We've met out. So we are truly committed to being open and accessible to our community.
Absolutely. Well, you've talked a good bit about this already, but working within the parameters of the current sheriff's office budget, what is your plan and strategy to continue recruiting and retaining quality officers and staff?
Well, and again, I think that's the key, what we've talked about earlier. One of the things that when you look at recruiting for law enforcement, there's little things that you can do that go a long way. So I'll never forget, I originally started in the Dawson County Fire Department years ago in the 80s when it was a volunteer fire department. I volunteered and it didn't pay a dime. I think I did get some old hand-me-down turnout gear. But when the captain would come by the station or the chief would come by and pat you on the back and thank you for a job well done, it made it worth it. And that's one that we exercise here at Dawson County, is that we do try to show our employees exactly how much we love them, how much we appreciate them. And I think that goes a long ways. A lot of the challenges that larger agencies have that we do not have here in Dawson County is that we still have it personal. We know when babies are being born, and unfortunately we know when loved ones pass away, and so we have something special here in Dawson County. And I think that our community, I think our professionals see that. I think when they come in and they realize that the atmosphere is different, when they realize that we do have something going on here. And I think the proof is in the pudding. Again, we have certified applicants that want to come to work at Dawson County. And I wished I had a position to put them in, but we don't. So we are very, very thankful. We're very grateful for that. We've been able to achieve, as I told you earlier, we've been able to achieve a lot of the purchases. We've been able to get a lot of things these past 3 or 4 years that there's no need to get them again this year. There's no need to purchase more, so we can focus on our employees.
Absolutely. Well, we've talked a good bit about external and how to maintain accessibility externally, but looking internally, share with us how you have and will maintain accountability and integrity within the department.
I think it's one, it has to be a good, sound internal affairs investigation or a component to do so. Now, I know that there's a lot of things, and again, this is the political season, and I know that the rhetoric is running rampant. And unfortunately, we know that people will people will try to capitalize on things that they hear in our community. But one thing that when an employee is accused of something, first and foremost, until that case is disposed of, it's not anything that we can talk about. It's not anything that we can go on and share with our community. You've always heard the old term of praise in public and discipline in private. We do believe in that. Now, we also know and believe that we are held to a higher standard. Our men and women, when they come to work in Dawson County Sheriff's Office, they know that should they get in trouble, you're probably not going to read about it on the back of the newspaper. You're going to read about it on the front page. But however, a lot of things will be misconstrued. A lot of things will be spun again, in a political fashion to try to demean the office. But I think our community can rest assured that when an issue comes up, when a problem arises, that it is dealt with, and it's dealt with in a fair and equitable manner as well. Um, we believe in being fair. We believe in being progressive with our discipline, and that is basically that. If they're a good employee, if it's not so egregious, can we work through it? Is it a training issue? Can we fix what's there? So we're very progressive in our discipline. We're very progressive in how we handle things. We're not necessarily very public with it. And it's not that we're trying to keep secrets. We understand these are men and women, and we try to respect their privacy. And we also know that they're men and women first and foremost, and that they will make mistakes, but hopefully we can work through those.
Absolutely. Well, in the age of social media, when videos can go viral in an instant, like we've seen out of South Georgia, Glenn County, what have you done to both protect your officers and citizens, and what do you plan to? And for example, have you or would you provide body cameras?
That's a good question, and actually is something that we will be looking at in the future. One of the biggest things that we have here, a lot of our challenges, and technology is the price of the cameras themselves are coming down. One of the biggest challenges that agencies face is, okay, where do you put this data? But unfortunately, or fortunately for us, that price is coming down too. So we're certainly not against it. We do know that there's also challenges with a video camera. And officers want to see things, and officers want to hear things. And we also know that we all see things different, Ms. Christie. We may, and an example of that is that I may see something, being a 27-year law enforcement officer. I may have experiences. I have things that I've seen over the years, situations that I've encountered that someone else may not. They may not be able to relate to what I may be able to relate to, or one of these other police officers. So although that I think that they are good, I think that you have to have the right people in place to be able to share the message, to be able to help and understand, and help our community to understand as well. And I think that's just where it's so critical that one, that we have the technology in place, which we will be going towards. Again, funding has to be the key there. But I think that we have to have the right people in place to be able to share that message, to be able to help our community to understand.
Absolutely. Well, we know that Dawson County businesses pay or generate the majority of the county budget that funds the sheriff's office. Given that fact, why should a business owner vote for you?
And that's a good question. For our level of service that we provide to our county. And I think that's the key, is that although we live here, we believe in taking care of our property owners. We believe in taking care of their families and our community. We also know what our community generates. We also know what our retail community generates. So one thing that we've always took a lot of pride on is trying to meet the needs. There's no sheriff, I don't think, around, or any sheriff's candidate around, that would tell you that we want to hang out at the station and wait for a call to come out. We always want to be proactive. We may never know exactly what that patrol car sitting on that corner may divert crime-wise. We just do not know. There's a lot of things out there that we may never know. However, we always want to be proactive. We always want to be visible. We always want to be out moving. And I think that's where it's critical for our retail community. Hopefully they're seeing our officers in and out of the through the parking lots. They're being visible. They're making contact with them. Our officers, our men and women, are doing a great job. Even during this COVID thing, there's been a lot of drug arrests. There's been a lot of, we have to be careful about things. Obviously, we don't want to make a situation where women remain committed. They remain committed to our retail as well as our residential.
Absolutely. Well, as we come to a close, if you want to share with us anything we didn't cover here, or just share with us your closing statement.
Well, and again, thank you, Ms. Christie, for doing this. We thank our community for allowing us to serve as sheriff. It's truly been an honor and privilege. We're thankful for a lot of the things that we've been able to accomplish. And as we look back and as we ponder on where we were and where we come from, we look at a lot of the things that we collectively have been able to accomplish. And that was during some challenges. As I've said many times, we've rebuilt our office. We're enjoying some of the best retention rates than we ever have. We now have a SWAT team in place. We now have a very progressive, robust K-9 program. We have a drone program. Just last night, our drone program and our K-9s were out assisting GSP on a chase, and went into neighboring Hall County. It was a mutual aid assistance type situation. We are no longer the little brother, so to speak. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that we are able to take care of our county. And that was our whole goal to begin with, is that I shouldn't have to call for Forsyth, for Hall, or Cherokee for assistance. Not saying that they won't come, because they would, because that's what you do in law enforcement. But I'm thankful that we're able to provide those resources to our own people, to our own county, and that's so important to me. It's been my honor. It's been my privilege to serve in Dawson County. I love living here. It is our motto is where quality of life matters. As your sheriff, it's been my whole direction to help maintain that quality of life, and that's standing up when times are hard. That's putting my own self aside. That's putting our county first. And I've always said I didn't get elected to try to please everyone. I got elected to be the sheriff. To perform services to our community. And I'm not going to sit here in a political season and tell lies or deceit to our community. I want to be honest. And if crime's occurring with our community, I want you to know that. But I also want us to work in partnership to fix that. I appreciate it. I want folks to look at our background. I want us to visit Facebook. I want them to call me. I want them to come see me. What I've always asked of folks is to compare your candidates. Don't listen to political rhetoric. Don't listen to people that don't even live within the state of Georgia or been promised a position or don't even live in Dawson County. But unfortunately, the internet is unchecked information, and people can do, unfortunately, and say what they want. But if anyone has any questions, I encourage them to please come see me. Please give me a call. I appreciate the support of our people out there, the calls that we've received, the messages of encouragement. Early voting starts Monday, and I humbly ask for our community support and vote. But we thank you. We thank you for your time this evening.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sheriff Johnson, for joining us. And if someone's interested in finding out more about your campaign on Facebook, where should they go?
Jeff Johnson, Dawson County Sheriff.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ms. Christie.